Happy holidays and welcome back. My name is Sheldon McLeod, and this is my platform here at SaltWire.com. Again, I remind you to search out our new YouTube channel. It's a great place for us to start building more of our video content here. And you are part of the largest digital audience of any independent news organization in Atlantic Canada, so I certainly do appreciate that. And yes, the holidays, right? I don't know, last minute running around trying to find those gifts, the perfect gift. Do you really need some more gadgets in your life? Do you really need what it is that you're probably going to open? I ran across this game. I didn't buy it because I don't need any more games, but it was basically saying, what was the worst gift you ever got from someone, and what was it? And I thought, ooh, that touches a little too close to the holidays, I think. But I wanted to talk about something else that has to do with compassion and giving, gifts of compassion. What exactly is this about? Well, this is a campaign to help us perhaps give empathy. We'll find out more with Allison Alley. Allison is here to join us from, you say you're in London, Ontario today?
That's right, Sheldon. Yeah, great to be with you and your listeners today.
Well, I really do appreciate this. And Compassion, tell me a little bit about Compassion Canada before we go too far here.
You bet. Yeah, Compassion is a global child development organization that exists to end all forms of poverty in the lives of kids and their families. So we work in 27 countries around the world and support more than 2.2 million children by partnering with over 8,000 local community churches in 8,000 communities where they can know, love, protect, and help develop these kids in all areas of their life.
And you say this has been going for how long? How many years now?
For over around 70 years globally, and in Canada, we're getting close to our 60th anniversary, so quite some time.
And I will admit, I don't know that I've heard of your organization in years past. So tell me a little bit about the challenge in getting your voice out there when there are so many charities right now, so many agencies, so many groups that are looking for help. And statistics, a lot of the public opinion polling is that fewer people are able to give this year, and those who are giving less. So there's a lot of competition right now.
Yeah, you know what? Most definitely, Sheldon. We see those stats. We experience those stats. That is, in some ways, an ongoing reality of charities as far as, trying to get your unique cause an opportunity for people to get involved in front of Canadians and cut through some of that noise. But I'll tell you, a conviction that I hold and that our organization holds is the opportunity to stand with other charities, to be a part of our broader sector, to be able to bring shared messages to Canadians together. And while our conversation today, Sheldon, may not result in dollars raised for compassion, my hope is that it plants seeds in Canadians about the needs around the world, the needs in their own backyard, and compels them to continue to be empathetic, as I heard you say, compassionate and generous. So beyond just what we do, we really are wanting to be a part of mobilizing Canadians and mobilizing, global citizens to care about their neighbors in need.
I've got a friend who likes to talk about from sympathy to empathy, from feeling sorry for someone in their situation, to feeling for them for being in that situation. So all of that to suggest, there are people in our country who are struggling. You alluded to that. And people might say, well, shouldn't we look after the people in our own backyard before we start looking to other places around the globe to help?
Yeah, and what I would say to them is, absolutely, you should be looking to, caring for, engaged in the needs of your neighbors around the world. And as an organization, what we would recognize is we are uniquely, I would say, called and have unique skill sets and experience and capabilities in the international scene. It's a unique way in which we operate in international development, unique challenges, unique opportunities to be able to deal with the multifaceted realities of poverty and injustice there. And again, when you have decades of experience in that, we continue to give ourselves to that cause. And yet, we're child advocates as an organization. I'm a mom of two, I was going to say young girls, Sheldon, maybe they're not so young anymore, they're growing up, but we really care about advocating for the needs of all children and really being a part of opening up people's minds, hearts, hands, their habits, to be able to care for those in need. And so, yeah, whether it is across the street in their own community or it's around the world as part of their global neighborhood, it does take all of that. And we're particularly focused on what I would say, and maybe we'll get into this, is the disproportionate and devastating and unique, needs of kids and families living in extreme poverty right now.
Well, and we also have had the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, which we have heard has taken a considerable toll on food security, energy security. And so are we talking about helping Ukraine? Are we talking about helping in countries where there may be less development and maybe not a war? Or is this quite common for you to look at war-torn areas?
Yeah, really, really good question. So let me establish kind of how what a global food crisis is, because that is something that's top of mind for our organization. And it's directly related to how we're calling Canadians to respond. So, a global food crisis is when rates of hunger and starvation rise quickly and significantly around the world, which is exactly what's happening today, Sheldon. And it's getting worse every single day and not better. And this global food crisis is basically the result of various, and you named some already, geopolitical, economic, social, and environmental realities, which are colliding together right now to create the largest crisis in history and the real risk, the sobering risk of mass starvation on our planet. And so these, interrelated realities, some of them relate to just the pandemic, right? And the increased economic setbacks and, the unemployment rates that it pushed millions of people back into. That alone, the pandemic and the multifaceted realities of it pushed millions of people back into extreme poverty and undid decades of progress in our sector. The conflict, not just the war in Ukraine, but ongoing conflict around the world. I think of Ethiopia. I think of other, war-torn countries in the continent of Africa. Every time that happens, that destroys livelihoods and forces families to flee their home, leaving children facing hunger. The war in Ukraine, it's not just the war itself that we need to pay attention to, but it's the global ripple effects of that. So a lot of people may not know that Russia and the Ukraine are responsible for supplying a significant percentage of the world's wheat and fertilizer, right? So when you have that shortage, prices go up, it's more expensive for farmers, and then gets more expensive for you and I and any consumer that needs to buy this food, which all of that then, rising food prices are another reality that, the number of people that are unable to afford just enough calories on their plate to survive, never mind a healthy diet, is radically decreasing on our globe. And the last one I would just say is extreme weather patterns, that across the globe we're seeing heat waves, we're seeing drought, these are decimating crops, and all of this just makes the realities I just described worse. So again, global food crisis is something that's happening right now. It's getting worse, not better. And we as an organization are trying to raise awareness around that and encourage people to take some practical action steps that really can make a difference in the lives of a family or two or a community.
So let's talk about those calls to action. When you have someone say, listen, if you need any help, just let me know. Most of us would say, oh, thank you, I appreciate the offer. But when you get a very specific request, then that gives someone a very specific task or perhaps some suggestion to where they should go. I'm looking at the gifts of compassion that are on the website. Emergency food pack for family, backyard farming, job skills training for moms. Tell me how this works.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So in the context of our global organizational model, let me underscore in relation to these gifts that we partner with local individuals who are indigenous to their local communities. You asked earlier, Sheldon, and rightfully so, what about our own local communities? Well, what we are doing is providing the opportunity to resource and encourage and mobilize local community members to care for their local neighbors. And what that means is our 8,000 community members and community churches know not just the needs, but the names and the faces and the stories and the assets and the needs in their own local communities, and are therefore in high proximity and high ability to be able to meet those needs every single day of the year. And so with our Gifts of Compassion, it's an opportunity for you to support those local partners to meeting practical life-saving needs in the life of their neighbors and their communities. So you on your screen showed some of the examples of that. Right now, what we're wanting to remind people is that donations really do help save and stabilize vulnerable families who are being faced with food insecurity. So you can buy emergency food packs. So for $100 as an example, you can provide a food pack to a family for about a couple months, and it provides essentials like rice and beans and flour and milk, corn and oil. You could support them in starting backyard farming business. You could buy them a cow or a goat, for $25 or $50 to ensure that they have nutrients for their own family and that they can also sell that milk to earn an income for their family. So those are really practical ways that you can be generous this year and know that those dollars are being well used by a local community member to stop food insecurity and to be a part of ongoing stabilization for these families in the context of their community.
Is Compassion Canada secular? Are we talking as an NGO that does it matter what religion may be practiced in the country where you're looking to help?
The answer to your question is Compassion is a Christian organization. And so our Christian values are what compel us to live out the values of love and generosity and care without condition for the religious belief or the backgrounds or any demographic realities of those we serve. So our local church partners in the communities that we serve those in need in their community, not just Christians in their community. And that's where we're seeing just a remarkable difference, that they are bringing together all kinds of different backgrounds and religious beliefs and economic realities and serving them based on where they're at.
This has been obviously a tough year economically in Canada specifically, but around the globe, as we've talked about. And we've talked a bit about, or at least given some direction or guidance for folks who want to give. So how does that process work? Is it as simple as going online? Do you call a telephone number? Just curious there, Allison.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you could head to our website at compassion.ca, and that's where you'll find out more about our organization. And if you want to go straight to the gifts that you can give, you can go to compassion.ca/shop and find a variety of ways, from $50 to $5,000 that you can be generous and make an impact this Christmas season.
And many charities, many organizations will tell you that a lot of the support they get comes in that final 6 to 8 weeks before the end of the year. Is it the same for Compassion Canada?
That's exactly right. Yes, December is the busiest month of our year as far as giving, and it's for a variety of reasons. Christmas tends to bring out that giving spirit. We also know that a lot of people are thinking about tax season and charitable donations, which have a cutoff at the end of the calendar year. So for both of those reasons and the ongoing campaigns and awareness that charities are building, we see and we're very grateful for the generosity of Canadians, particularly this time of year.
Anything else Allison Alley wants to add before we wrap this up?
Yeah, here's what I would want to encourage you with for your listeners. I know, well, maybe I would say I live in this reality every day, that the needs of the world can be pretty overwhelming. And the stats are sobering, the media is sobering, and it feels like, what can we possibly do? That the world is just pretty helpless right now. And what I would want to encourage you with is that in my role in this organization, and as we partner with our churches around the world, we are seeing hope every single day of the year. We are seeing generosity and love and selflessness and neighborliness and mutuality, self-sacrificing livelihoods in ways that brings us so much hope. And while, and I alluded to this earlier, you truly cannot change the whole world. Our organization is not going to be able to change the whole world. What you can do is choose to do something, and that something truly can change the whole world and reality of someone else. So take hope, take heart, do what you can to bring hope to others this year, and press on in the meantime as we navigate these uncharted and really challenging times.
Allison Alley is President and CEO of Compassion Canada. Thank you very much for this. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure, Sheldon.
Happy holidays.